Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out in the Washington Post, November 19th, 2018. Anti-vaccination stronghold in North Carolina hit with state's worst chickenpox outbreak in 2 decades. You know what this is shining light on, ladies and gentlemen? How many white people in this country never got vaccine. This is what it's shedding light on. If you notice, there's been measles outbreaks, chicken pox. You got, the polio-like symptoms. You know what? All those kids got their shots, according to the article that I wrote. See, that's why the CDC is trying to undercount and not put a lot of information out about that situation because they can't come out like in articles like this and say, well, these kids didn't get their shot. That's why they got these polio-like symptoms. No, all those parents are saying, nope, my kid was up to date on their shots. And you see what happens, right? And that AFM is killing a lot of those children, and the CDC is just not talking about it. That's why those parents are coming out against them and they're getting upset. But North Carolina, ladies and gentlemen, has record-breaking chicken pox in that state. Chickenpox has taken hold of a school in North Carolina where many families claim religious exemption from vaccines. So that's how they're getting around it. That's just showing you that's how the majority of them are getting around it. But in the meantime, they're in your face trying to insist your kid get shots or they can't be admitted into the school. But all these other kids are not getting shots and they're there just fine. They're just fine sitting in school. Oh boy. The cases of chickenpox have been multiplying at an Asheville Waldorf school, which serves children from nursery to 6th grade in Asheville, North Carolina. About a dozen infections grew to 28 at the beginning of the month. By Friday, there were 36. The Asheville Citizen Times reported the outbreak ranks as the state's worst since chickenpox vaccine became available more than 20 years ago. Since then, the 2-dose course has succeeded in limiting the highly contagious disease that once affected 90% of Americans. I had chickenpox as a child. Public health breakthrough. A state is a symbol of a small but strong movement against the most effective means of preventing the spread of infectious diseases. The percentage of children under 2 years old who haven't received any vaccinations has quadrupled since 2001, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Like the Disneyland measles outbreak in 2015, yeah, I remember that. The flare-up demonstrates the real-life consequences of a shadowy debate fueled by junk science. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? They may push this vaccine, but this goes back to what I said to you before in another video. None of these diseases are really truly eradicated. You know, they will always make that claim, oh, that's eradicated. No, it isn't. They don't eradicate nothing. You may see less of it than you did maybe decades ago, but it's not. All of these diseases are still around. And this is why they are still cropping up decades later after they claim it was eradicated. And I used to even hear this, oh, hardly nobody gets chickenpox anymore. It's eradicated. They got that under control. No, apparently you don't. I heard the same thing about measles, mumps, and other diseases. Oh, those are all eradicated. They don't eradicate nothing, ladies and gentlemen. They really don't. They really don't. So a lot of these kids, again, are in school getting these notes on religion, and they're getting out of immunization altogether. And you can see just from these outbreaks, it's showing you that it's probably the majority of the kids in the school that are not immunized. And it just go to show you how some people have gotten away with that for a long time and others could not, you know. And believe me, if I know what I do now, there's a lot of things that I would have done differently in my life. Um, in fact, I remember when I was getting ready to go to college, I had to give my immunization record. They wanted to see it. And I was not up to date on my polio booster. And so I had to take a polio booster before I attended college. And I remember doing that. And now, hindsight 2020, I wish I would not have, but back then they made you feel like those things were important to do. It was important to have. But see, one thing about chickenpox, I had chickenpox as a child. One thing about chickenpox, once you get it, your body is pretty much immune to getting it again. So you build up a natural immunity from it once you get it. And that's not just chickenpox, it's other viruses as well. Okay, so chickenpox is serious, warns the CDC, even life-threatening, especially in babies, adolescents, adults, pregnant women, and people with weakened immune systems. A person can spread the disease 1 to 2 days before the rash appears, increasing the risk of broad transmission of the virus before it's detected. That was before a 2-dose vaccine program was introduced in the United States in 1995. The virus used to crop up in about 4 million cases annually, causing more than 10,000 hospitalizations, between 100 and 150 deaths. Children were especially susceptible as schools seemed to incubate the blister-like rash, which appears first on the stomach, face, back, and extend over the entire surface of the body, creating as many as 500 itchy blisters. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't even think it's natural, and this is just my thing. I think the reason why all these diseases spread so easily among school kids is because our kids are not meant to be packed up together in situations like that. You go back to biblical times, everybody taught whatever children you had, you were the teacher of that child. You didn't haul off your kid to school. That is a very modern concept because the people that came over in this land, they needed school. That's why it exists. This was really for them. And when you see these diseases cropping up, maybe this is a sign that your kids should not be all packed together like this on a regular basis. You're leaving them open to a lot of things. I remember when I was going to school, and I'm sure many people can relate to virtually every illness I had from K through 5 all came from the damn school. Or my brother would, because he was older than me, so he went to school first, he would bring stuff home and I would get sick. But virtually every illness I had during that time period, even in college, every illness I had came directly from somebody I was in contact with at the school. And it tells me Maybe it wasn't meant for us to be all packed up together like that with other people. Okay, so North Carolina now got their big outbreak of chickenpox, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, y'all. It just seems like there are so many things going on as far as viruses going around, all kinds of illness. And it's not that we haven't seen these things before, but it just seems to be a lot more amplified today. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.